Welcome everybody back to Friar Talk. Hope you all are having a good start to your week. Going to be talking a little bit about this Manny Machado contract because, as we know, he finally got paid. We had been discussing it. I feel like we'd been discussing either his contract or Soto's contract or anyone's contract really in terms of extension, and especially those two guys. So Manny ends up signing his deal. This is huge news for the Padres. Very, very big stuff there. So that's kind of basically all we got on store for tonight. Probably not the longest live stream. I think the plan is to do the World Baseball Classic on Wednesday. Not 100% sure on that one. But we get to talk about Manny Machado. So I think this is a huge win for the Padres. We had me, Chase, and Isaac, we kind of briefly discussed like what a deal would look like. And our thought was, okay, this is going to look like something maybe 10 to 12, more like 8 to 12 years, roughly 400 million, 380, 350, somewhere in that range, like 350 to 400. I think this is on the lower end of the deal. If you look at what he's making $1.8 million a year more than what he was making before on his 10-year contract that he initially signed. And you add it up and you go, okay, well, in his final year, he will turn 41 years old in that final year of the contract. That's really not that crazy. And especially for all the deals that we've seen, and you start looking into it, and Manny's a guy that could age really well throughout his contract. So overall, I think this is a huge win for the Padres. I think Manny Machado was very clear that he wanted to stay in San Diego. He wanted to do whatever it would take. And I think he probably could have got quite a bit more on the open market. I think he probably could have got a deal that was about $35 million a year for 10 years on the open market if he was able to test for agency. He ends up taking a little bit less in what I think is to finish his career probably in San Diego. So overall, I think this is a huge win for the Padres. How are you feeling about it?
Hopefully he's going into the Hall of Fame with a Padres hat on him, man. I think that was kind of made obvious that that's what he wants to do. That's what Peter Seidler wants him to do. AJ Preller wants him to do. I'm very excited. 11 years, 350, going to be here till he's 41 or 42. I think 25 million of that is a signing bonus. I think 25 million of that is a signing bonus. So I don't know if that counts towards the luxury tax or whatever it is. I don't know how that works, but yeah, I believe 25 million is a signing bonus. He kind of was making it maybe not obvious, but he was kind of hinting at it on Friday on Ben and Woods when he was saying, they signed into the lifetime friendship contract, and then he said something about hopefully there's more of this after, and maybe it was just going through like a physical phase or something like that. But nonetheless, a few days later, signs for 11 for 350. I think he's going to age gracefully, man. I think it's going to be only a matter of time till maybe he transitions into first baseman, 6-7 years. Maybe he'll transition to first baseman, and I think he'd play fantastic at first base. But for right now, he's going to stay the Gold Glove, Platinum Glove third baseman that we all know he is. Last season, put up a 7 WAR, absolutely deserving of a raise. And when you look at, all right, Manny was signed in 2018, 2019, beginning of 2019, February of 2019. It was 10 for 300, one of the record-breaking deals. A deal that was like, wow, I've never seen this type of deal. Harper did, 12 for 3 something or 14 for 3 something, I forgot. But at the time, it was wild. 10 for 300 is a lot of money. And Manny Machado didn't have that big of a market. It was just pretty much us and the White Sox, I believe it was. And we offered him that big money contract. And at the time, it might have been, wow, that's a lot of money. Maybe it's too much. After putting up a 7 WAR season last year, you think, wow, we got a bargain of a season from Manny Machado. Now, if he puts up another 5-6 WAR season for 31.8 or 32 million, whatever it is, that's another bargain of a season for Manny Machado. And those will continue as long as he's in his prime. Not mentioning the capabilities he brings or the leadership he brings that he's brought along with him. This is everything you want in your star and your franchise cornerstone, your star player, your captain. Manny is everything you want. So couldn't be more excited for that 11-350. I thought it was gonna be 10-350, but luckily another year was added, so it did lower the AAV. Manny did say he wants to play up until he's Nelly Cruz's age, and he's one step closer to that.
Yeah, and you talked about a little bit about how he could potentially move over to first and stuff, but I think right now when you look at this contract, the AAV is 31 million. That's really not that crazy for a lot of similar deals in the league right now. And overall, that's why I think it's a big win. I also think like if you're looking at guys that you want in the back end of their deal, I feel like Manny Machado is definitely a guy that you want like that. We talked about this when Trey Turner signed, but I was kind of like, yeah, I'm happy the Padres didn't sign Trey Turner for that, just because he was going to make an absurd amount of money, significantly more than Bogarts, I want to say. And when he loses his speed, he's going to lose a large element of his game. Manny's game is based off having just absurd reactions, like his speed, just of like understanding what's around him fielding wise. He's so good at that. So either at first or at third, wherever he's playing, he's still going to provide that. And if he ends up being a little bit older and he has to add some weight and stuff and go play first, dude, he's still gonna hit a bunch of home runs. Like so I like it a lot. I also was looking through Manny's stats just right now when you were talking, Isaac. It's a little bit interesting because when he signed that deal, if you remember, when he signed the $300 million one, a lot of people were kind of thinking, oh, this is a bad deal for the Padres. The Padres overpaid for Manny Machado. They did whatever. Dude, that's one of the few mega contracts that has actually worked out because it actually worked out. Like, if you sign someone to a contract and there's an opt out in the middle of the deal and they opt out and you guys renegotiate and you bring them, like, you add 6 additional years, I want to say it is 6 or 7 additional years to that contract. That initial contract, we'll see what the second one looks like, but that initial contract is a huge win. That is as good as it could have gone. So through Machado's first 4 years in San Diego, first year, and I don't want to say it was like a disappointment or anything, but he had no one around him, right? And
Right.
he had a a 796 OPS. So it was a pretty down year, not that great, kind of whatever. And maybe you could have thought about like, maybe this wasn't the best deal in the world. Well, then that last 3 years, he's followed up with and this is the COVID year, but a 950 OPS, an 836 OPS, and an 897 OPS. And 2 of those years, he was top 3 in MVP.
Yeah.
Top 3.
Yeah,
So
top 3.
like,
Crazy.
if you're looking at it, you're going, dude, that first year was kind of a turning point, but that's already going to be like expected. He's coming from the AL outside of, a few games on the Dodgers and stuff like that. And you look at what he's been able to do in San Diego, it has been really, really good. I mean, for these big contracts, it's like him, Harper, like you could make the argument that Mike Trout's contract hasn't been worth it for the Angels. And like Mike Trout might be we might go into next year at the end of the year and go, oh, Mike Trout was the best player this last year. Like we might still say that. So it's not necessarily the talent that's there. It's like how he's performed under it. And that first deal was amazing. So I think that's huge. I see a lot of people talking about it, and I will admit it is pretty funny about like the Padres having this retirement home. But if they bring Soto back, they're gonna have Soto and Tatis basically through their primes. Like at the end of their prime is when their deals will be up. And then it's like, okay, you have Xander and Manny on like deals where they're just getting into their 40s. That's not that crazy. There's a lot of teams that have guys that are 40 years plus. So I don't think this is a deal that's going to like burn the Padres long term. I think this is just a huge win. I think for right now, we saw Juan Soto. I don't know if you saw it. I saw this the other day where he was talking about the Padres team around him. And he's talking about, this is the best. And keep in mind, he won a World Series. He says this is the most talented team I've ever been around. And he's absolutely telling the truth. Like, that's not even a question. He can see, like, dude, we have an absurdly deep lineup. We have good pitchers. We have a great bullpen. He probably thinks he's the best closer in the game. I mean, I feel like most players, if you ask them who's the best closer in the game, they're probably going to say Josh Hader. And you start looking around at this core of this lineup, and you're like, yeah, it's worth it. Even if those back end years aren't that great, it's definitely worth it. So, and I'm pumped. I think it's gonna be great, and I think it's interesting to see what Manny will look like in 8 years. Because I still think he's going to be a pretty formidable player. Which, for a lot of people, I think that's a super far fetched statement to make. Like, oh yeah, this guy's going to be late 30s and still be able to produce. Does anyone feel like it's like he's just going to fall off a cliff? Because like I really don't.
I feel like he's gonna play very well. I mean, Adrian Beltre played pretty well. I thought he was a fair comp with Manny Machado. He played pretty well down the road. But yeah, I think Manny's gonna be fine, man. I think he will move to first eventually, and there's not a better guy you really want at first. So I'm excited to see where he goes. I mean, 8 years, that's a long time. So hopefully we see him And there is a full no trade clause. There's a no opt outs, and it's a step into guaranteeing he's going to be a Padre. And I like, you put in the title, likely a Padre for the rest of his career. Yes, it is likely. It's not a guarantee. But as for right now, I couldn't be happier that he's going to be hopefully going to be a Padre for the rest of his career. That's a Machado jersey that I'm gonna need, man. So I'm gonna be definitely on the lookout for a Machado jersey. I don't know what color yet. I got white Tatis. I got City Connect Tatis. Probably gonna be looking for a San Machado. So I'm excited to be able to get one of those. But going back to Juan Soto, I think that definitely should be a contract that needs to be worked on now. That should be one of the first priorities, if not the first priority. What I think might be difficult is legitimately keeping him in a Padres uniform for more than 5-6 years after 2024. And the reason I say that is because I think in order to get his services, I think in order for the Padres to get his services, I think they should include opt-outs. And that's not because Juan Soto's the market might change in 5-6 years. It's probably very well going to change in 5-6 years. If Juan Soto can make 35-40 million in those 5-6 years, and then let's say he's still one of the top hitters of all time, he can go ahead and make 45-50 probably in those upcoming years. So I think in order to be able to keep Juan Soto, put an opt-out in his contract, basically assure that this window is going to be prolonged for at least 5-6 years. By doing that, you have Xander Bogaerts, Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado, Juan Soto, Joe Musgrove, probably Yu Darvish, a lot of guys locked in through this championship window, and you're going to win a lot of games just by having those guys locked in your lineup and the front of your rotation, maybe even the middle part of your rotation. But that's where developing is going to come in. And I'm sure the Padres will work and do a lot of work in terms of finally being able to develop guys. But having 4 cornerstones in your lineup and 2 formidable pitchers in your rotation is going to be huge for the Padres. And that's why I kind of think it's going to be smart for the Padres to kind of have a player friendly contract rather than, okay, well, we want him around for this long. No opt-outs, no nothing, because you want to favor Juan Soto. Remember, his agent is going to get him as much money as he possibly can. So include an opt-out, make it like a 12, 13, 14-year deal. Give him an opt-out after 6. And I think Juan Soto will be open to that.
I feel like that's definitely the case too. And I think it's interesting. That's what I wanted to ask you next was like, okay, what do you think how this impacts Juan Soto? What do you think the Padres are kind of looking on that end of the contract? And Juan Soto has 2 years left on his deal. I would even go out to say, I think it would be a huge win if the Padres could keep Juan Soto for 2 more years after that. Imagine if the opt-out's 2 years down the road. Like he signs a 10-year, $400 million deal or whatever it is. That seems about right. I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking off the top of my head. And there's, after 2 or 3 years, there's an opt-out, a player opt-out. He can opt out if he wants. If he walked after that 2 or 3 years, like you would still be adding 2 to 3 years of prime Juan Soto. So that's a win in itself. So I don't know. I like the idea of bringing him back, honestly, for any amount of time. I'm trying to see. So Juan Soto right now is 23. He's going to be 24 next year. Mm-hmm. So if you kept him the next 4 years, you get 24, 25, 26, 27. That's a pretty good win right there, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, you got to maximize that little trade. That trade that you made. It's going to look a lot better. The longer you can keep them, the better it's going to look.
Every year you add is like, okay, that's good.
Yeah, exactly.
I expect him to do something similar. What would you kind of guess that they would be trying to discuss? Maybe not right now, but let's say after this season. I know it depends if Soto plays well. I have a feeling he's going to have a damn good year. Like, let's say he has a really good year. What do you think the Padres are going to go up there and like realistically offer him?
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up after this year because it's very unlikely coming off the year he had. And it wasn't a bad year. It just wasn't the over 300 batting average with a crazy OPS plus and on base percentage Juan Soto type year that was 2021 with a second place MVP finish. Because this year it was just, like a 8-something OPS. And I say just, but it wasn't the Juan Soto that we know. So let's say he goes back out there and puts up another top 5 MVP finish, maybe even wins the MVP. I could see 12 for 480. I like that. 12 for 480 with an opt out after 5 or 6.
Trying to do some math. Let's see.
40 mil a year.
That's 40. Oh, yeah. That makes sense. You got the, okay, yeah. Yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah.
And you
Right.
say opt out after like halfway through, roughly?
Yeah,
I
12 for
can see that.
480. Opt out halfway through. He just, I'm just gonna assume that he's gonna have a top 3, top 5 MVP finish, if not win the MVP, because that's what Juan Soto does. Like, his numbers are absurd. It was just a down year last year. It was a year where he was surrounded with no help in Washington, had nobody around him, gets traded midseason, had to adjust to one of the hardest parks to hit in all of baseball. Come to a division that's much better. Much better. Hold on. No, it's not much better. It's actually a little worse. I forgot that he was with the Mets and the Braves and the Phillies. But
Yeah, it's a rough division to be sitting in.
yeah, that is tough.
Especially on the Nationals.
Yeah, exactly. So, but just a lineup with no protection no protection provided to him. But now Fernando's back. Xander's in the lineup. Big Nelly Cruz is in the lineup now. They made some additions in the lineup. He's going to have a lot more protection than he's ever had. And I firmly believe he's going to finish with like a 950 OPS, like 32 home runs, 30 home runs, something like that. And like a 160, 170 OPS plus. And that's a $40 million player.
Yeah, it's funny that everyone talks like about how like Juan Soto wasn't himself last year. On the Padres, he posted a 778 OPS. How many years of our lives growing up would that have been either the best
That would
or
have
the
been the
second best in the
best.
game? Like almost every year, right?
Yeah.
But like that's wild. And like that was like a really like you could see him getting frustrated from like his struggles, even though he's still playing above average. But it's pretty crazy that that's like, oh yeah, he like fell off at the second half of last year. It's like, well, not really. Like when most guys fall off, they're having around like a 600-ish OPS level, like for at least a duration of time. Whereas Juan Soto, it's like, yeah, no, he was still like solid. He
Yeah.
was just not a god at the plate.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that seems about right. I think 40 mil seems right. I think 40 mil, 12 years. If you offer him 12 years, opt out either 6 years or maybe a little bit before that. I think that could potentially be a win for both sides too, because he might actually leave after that opt out. Where like Manny, it felt like he was definitely staying. Like you're still getting Juan Soto throughout his prime, which I think is huge. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely think that becomes a bigger priority. Another question for you: Do you think this will make like not only this deal, but the Darvish deal and the Machado deal, and that we expect them to really want to extend Juan Soto? Does this kind of take them off of the Ohtani train in a way, or no?
I think now it's between one or the other, Juan Soto or Shohei Ohtani.
What about Vlad?
That's a good one. I don't know. I'm really opposed to paying a first baseman a lot of money. And that's not just due to Eric Hosmer. It's just because I feel like there's a decent amount of first basemen that have some slug, and it's probably one of, if not the easiest positions to play on the field. It's not a premium position. Vlad Jr. is a great bat, but Juan Soto is a better bat. Shohei Ohtani is a better bat, and a better pitcher. A pitcher in general. But yeah, I also just don't think Vladdy is going to leave from Toronto. I think they're going to do everything they can to bring him back. But just focusing on Shohei and Juan Soto, I really don't think that the opportunity to get both will be provided to us. I think one is going to be, I can almost assure one will be with us. I really do believe one of Juan Soto or Shohei Ohtani will be with us, not only next year, but in the foreseeable future. Because let's say, like I said, if Juan Soto finishes top 3 in MVP voting again this year, you're going to drop 40 million a year on him, 37, whatever it is, and you're going to be happy about it because that's going to be a consistent thing from Juan Soto. Does he play pretty trash defense? Yeah, kind of. But I think his defense is going to be a lot better in left field this year, whereas in right Petco, it's so much ground to cover, but left field, it's so much smaller. I mean, Jerkson Profar looked fantastic in left field last year, and he was never really an outfielder, and we always used to complain about his outfield defense. He looked great in left field at Petco last year. So I think that's going to help Juan Soto in the defense department. And if he's able to put up a decent, decent defensive numbers, and he's able to go out there, put up a 7-8 WAR again, yeah, you're going to drop that money on him because the Padres have shown that if you play good, you're going to get extended. Dude, Fernando was phenomenal his rookie year. What didn't play almost the whole second half of the season, was out from August onward, then played 59 games. I forgot why he missed that one game, but he played 59 games. And then they said, all right, 14 years for you, 365 million, whatever it is. They dropped a bag on him because he played so well. Same thing with Manny Machado. They dropped a bag on him because he played so well. Same thing for Xander Bogaerts. Came off a 6-4 season. Sign him. The Padres reward you for good play. Joe Musgrove got 20 million a year for, that was only after like a season and 2 months, a season and 3 months, something like that. Same thing with you, Darvish. So they're showing as long as you play good for the organization, they're going to do everything they can to bring you back. Juan Soto does that. I can almost guarantee he's going to be in a Padres uniform for the foreseeable future. So I'm excited. I mean, this is a big year for Juan Soto. I think it's one of those years where it's not his walk year, but it's getting pretty close. And another guy, Blake Snell, it is his walk year. Let's see how he does. I don't think he'll be a Padre next year, but I'm excited to see how well he does in a walk year. There's a bunch of guys that the Padres might consider throwing money at. If Blake Snell wins a Cy Young, finishes top 5 in the Cy Young voting, I wouldn't doubt that they try and extend him, even though I think it's unlikely. Maybe they'll try. But Juan Soto is going to be our top priority for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I think so too. I do really, really wonder what happens because I'll say this. I think like right now, Juan Soto immediately with this contract, with the Machado contract, he becomes the number 1 priority. However, the idea that if you sign Ohtani, you would also have Soto overlap with Ohtani for 1 year. Like if you had to pick one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I know it's not good to be like, oh, we're going all in 1 year. I actually don't hate that idea of team building.
Players. Those are the players to go all in on.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, well, if we get Ohtani instead of Soto, there's 1 year where we have them both. That's pretty insane. So I think that's like actually like, I don't know. To me, that's a fair thing to bring up, even though I think it's like you shouldn't go all in on 1 year. But I think that they're probably going to try to really go after Soto. I mean, we've talked about it. I told you I still think that in theory, they want to go and sign both. But I told you I don't think that they're going to be able to get all of them. Like I always said, like 2 out of 3, that's what you're shooting for.
Yes.
Well, you just got one of them in Machado. So if you can get one of the other, and you said you feel confident that they're going to be able to get at least one of them, that's insane. Like that's still a super good core. And let's say it is Soto. You have Soto and Fernando as your building blocks on your offense. Let's say Fernando figures it out upstairs after last year, right? You really don't have any issues with Fernando. That's the best young building core you could have, right? Like, is there? I'm trying to think of other teams like that are young and have like good players. Like,
no duo in baseball is better than Fernando. I mean, it's really a quartet or whatever you want to call it. But if you're looking at young duos around the league, no duo is better than Fernando and Soto.
Like, Vladdy and like Bichette is pretty good. Like, not as good. Like you can bring up other names, but it's like they're always like not as good. not as
Nope.
good, like every time. So,
Mm-mm.
dude, it is
Machado and
pretty great.
Tatis were already possibly the best duo,
Yes.
and I mean, you're not necessarily replacing Manny, but if you're going based off young duos or duos in general, it's Machado and Soto, or Soto and Tatis, or Tatis and Machado. Well, however you want to mash it up, they're I firmly believe the best.
Yeah. Yeah, and I see one comment here. The only young team is the Braves. I mean, the Braves, yeah, but also like who's the Braves' other guy besides Acuna? Like, who would you?
It used to be
Ozzy's
LB.
not young.
Yeah, Ozzy's. Um,
Like, guys will emerge. Don't get me
I think
wrong.
I think their core. I think they're way better of a team. Not a team, but I think they're more well rounded than we are. But if we're talking just stars,
Yeah,
Padres, they got it going on.
yeah, because I wouldn't say the Padres' whole team and whole roster is necessarily
No,
young. Like, it's
yeah,
not.
yeah.
But they're two of their young superstars. That's one. Riley Strider, yeah. Ohtani or Soto. Yeah, I don't know. I think Ohtani or Soto. I think it's tough. I think you're just gonna go after both. Like, you're gonna
Mhm.
see what happens.
Yeah,
And if like I said before, I told you, I said if you somehow get both, you just say, all right, we're gonna have to take the L for a few years, and then we're gonna
yeah,
trade
yeah,
Bogarts because there's no, or you just trade Bogarts. Sorry, man, like you're here last. Like it's
yeah.
all Ohtani, but
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, if you're looking short term, Otani helps you way more, because he's an ace. But if you're looking long term, Soto,
it also totally depends on what Ohtani would want. Because what if Ohtani signed a 2-year, $100 million contract?
bro.
Like, like, like a deal like how you're talking about with the opt outs, where it's like, okay, he technically signed a 10-year 400 like Ohtani did, right?
Yeah.
But it's really like there's 50 million over the first 2 years, and then he's gonna opt out, of course. Like it could be one of those. I don't know. I'm really intrigued to see what Ohtani wants to do because there's also rumors like the Angels are trying to extend him. I feel like he is not going to be an Angel
No.
anymore. It's like his whole market is so fascinating too because he's just like so like dedicated to the sport and to like being the best. Where I don't know. It's really interesting to see what he'll do. I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be so fun. We were talking about it. Ohtani Watch. Ohtani Watch
Yeah.
will be
Otani
blast.
watch. It's either going to be make Otani a Padre 2024 or make Soto a Padre 2020, or sorry, make 2024, or make Soto a Padre 2024/2025. It's an interesting thing with Shohei Ohtani. He's going to be 29 going into free agency. How many teams are going to be willing to throw 50 million plus at him, knowing what if he's not pitching in when he's 36, 37, maybe 38? What if he's not pitching anymore? It's a really, really interesting thing with Shohei Ohtani, because you look at the numbers up front and you're like, wow, this guy definitely deserves 10 years, 500 million type of thing. But are there really going to be teams willing to throw 10 years at him?
And I feel like, and I'll also say this: when you're looking at these contracts, who do you think is a safer guy to lock up for 10 years? Ohtani or Soto? Soto,
Oh,
like
Soto,
easily,
yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure.
Like
Yeah, for
I don't
sure.
even think it's that close.
No, it's not. No, it's for sure Soto. Um, it's just a weird thing, because even if you're not willing to throw 10 years at Ohtani, you might have to. You might
Yeah,
have to say, well, shoot, if he's not pitching in 5, 6, 7 years, I'm going to be paying him 50 million for a DH.
yeah. I do wonder too, because for the Padres, the other thing is if the Padres. Here's the other aspect of that: if the Padres are like in a like a battle in terms of like who's going to offer more to Ohtani, and it's between them and the Dodgers, both teams have an incentive to put more money on the table to not let
Mhm.
the other team get them. Like, because
For
all of a
sure.
sudden, especially with baseball now, like you don't want to be in the wild card. It is a huge disadvantage for
No.
your chances of winning a World Series. A 3 games on the road, like that sucks compared to a bye.
I thought the Padres were cooked. I really did. I was scared, man, because in New York facing the Mets, I mean, I think before that series started, I did say, well, they are the Mets, so maybe I expected us to win, but that doesn't mean I wasn't, dude. That was a very terrifying series, and I know in the NL at least, both the wild card teams made it. He kind of is. Both the wild card teams made it, but it's a little tougher now just because the wild card game is now, or it's now a wild card series, all three on the road, meaning you have to use your three top pitchers, and then you have to go face the 1 or the 2 seed with your number 4 as in your game 1. For us, it was Mike Clevenger. We stood no chance. So no, you're absolutely right.
And also Chip Rock says here, Peter Seidler is building his own Chicago Bulls. MJ years super team for baseball. I wouldn't be quick to say that he can only sign Soto or Ohtani. Peter wants his murderers row. I agree. I mean, that's what I've kind of felt the whole time. We had a lot of conversations about this, but that's what I think that they're trying to do. I just wonder like what it looks like and if they're able to actually land both. I think out of everything, that's the most likely thing is they go after both and they don't land both. Because think about if they just landed both right now. Think about all of the talent they brought in like the last 5 years. That would make it so ridiculous. And then like they call up Merrill too. They're like, fuck it, Merrill's up. Salas is up in like a year or two. Like it would just get stupid.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, I think it works. Like that's ideal if you're trying to win and you're trying to. Because I also saw this. Wait, I saw this comment up here. I got to bring it up from Arthur. Manfred really thinks the Padres will have to rebuild in a few years because they're small market. That's exactly like that's the whole thing, right? Like, oh, they're small market. Well, yeah, but if you're winning a bunch, then you're not going to be small market anymore. Because I think that's their goal. That's like the overall objective from like a business aspect is like, yeah, we have no competition with other pro teams. The Chargers left. We can just dominate this region and be one of the biggest baseball franchises. That's a thought. Like, so yeah, I think that makes sense if they want to swing. And if you're gonna swing, like if you're gonna have a hard swing, and your two reasons are like, all right, we're gonna lose money these seasons because we decided to have both of Juan Soto and Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense, right? Like we can get behind that. That's a lot different than being like, yeah, we need to go get all these guys like Corey Seager or Dansby Swanson or stuff like that. Like that's not getting you over the hump.
Screw that. I mean, if your goal in baseball as an owner should be to be a brand like the Yankees, the Dodgers, whatever it is, your goal should be to be a brand like that rather than the afterthought that the Padres were for our whole lives. They were an afterthought. Now they're being talked about daily on MLB Network, whatever it is. They're being talked about daily. And Peter Seidler is doing an amazing job at making this franchise a brand, making it something that everyone wants to talk about. Everyone wants to go to the ballpark to go watch Fernando Tatis, Juan Soto. Like he's putting a great product on the field, and now there's season ticket caps. Now there's a wait list for season tickets. Now there's so much going on for the Padres that they're quite possibly the most entertaining team in baseball. There are reporters lining up outside of spring training to go talk about and go talk to the Padres. That has never happened, ever. So I don't know. If you ask me, Peter Seidler is doing an amazing job, and I don't really think he cares about having to pay other teams, the Padres having to pay other teams for the first time, whatever it is. I don't think he cares. He said, they asked him about the risk of investing all this money into the Padres. He said, well, there's a risk to doing nothing. There legitimately is a risk to doing nothing. Dude, you don't get any money by putting Corey Spangenberg, Julius Chassin. Like, you don't get any money putting those guys on the field. I don't know if a NASCAR track would work in San Diego. That's an interesting one. They should try it. But yeah, I mean, see, that guy, he's worth $3 billion, man, and there's so many more. I think there's like many, many more owners that are worth more than him that aren't spending as much money, and now they're mad. They're like, we should propose a salary cap. There's never been a salary cap. Salary caps have never been proposed up until Peter Sadler started spending this money. You can look at Steve Cohen also, but that's a New York market. He's expected to maybe not spend 362 million, but he's expected to spend up. The Padres are not. They're the third smallest market. Now they're proposing a salary cap rather than pointing out the horrible owners that spend less than 100 million, less than 150 million. They're trying to protect them rather than help their fans see a valuable product. They should implement a salary floor.
Yeah, and also like going back to the stuff that Manfred said about like, oh, the Padres aren't built to spend this long. Well, Manfred is also the same guy that decided that the best thing the MLB could do was to deaden the baseballs to increase viewership. So does his opinion really matter? Because he seems like he is the most lost of all of the commissioners. Like, your idea was you're gonna deaden the baseball? That's gonna increase viewership? That makes no sense, dude. That's stupid. And then also his whole argument on like, oh yeah, like there's some small markets, some big market teams. Dude, if you're as an owner, because like you're talking about like there is risk to doing nothing, that's what Seidler said. A lot of owners do that. Pirates owner, Clippers did that for a long time. A lot of owners do that, right? Teams are just consistently not good. And they do because they can make a small cash flow, right? Every single year. Well, that's because a lot of these billionaire guys have so much like, not to say that they're poor, but they have a lot of debt and they're leveraging assets and they're trying to just make cash flow because they can't afford to go deep into that stuff. If Seidler, this is what he's doing and this is what he wants to work on basically, and he's like, yeah, I don't mind losing a bunch of money, then it makes sense. And it doesn't matter if you're a small market because you can develop into a larger market by doing that. But other owners don't even have a chance to do that. So I don't know. I think, calling a team small market and then being like, oh, like upset about their spending, that makes no sense for like, why would the commissioner be upset about that? What? Like, bro, worry about like, you haven't created a channel. You have the most obvious and easy thing you could ever do. You could create an MLB Red Zone channel that would be an absolute banger. Why is that not done? Dude, we've been talking about this for years. I've told you this, like, I'm like, I don't know why that doesn't exist. I guess there is one that does exist, but it sucks. It's not even close to what Red Zone is.
No, I agree.
How sick that would be? Oh, we're tuning in for Mike Trout's at bat with the bases loaded. Oh, let's switch it over. Fernando's up with guys on second and third. Oh, yeah, that'd be pretty fun to watch. I don't know why you don't do that, but they're too worried. They're trying to. I don't even know. I don't know what Manfred's trying to do.
No, you're very right. He is trash at what he does. There's actually a very hot topic going on right now that we for sure need to talk about, and that is the pitch clock. The pitch clock is one of the most controversial things in baseball right now. Barely implemented, and it is very controversial. Matt, for you, I can understand if you like it. I'm not saying you for sure like it. If you like it, I could understand. You live in New York, you got to watch a West Coast team, and for you, those games start at 10, so it helps you.
Yeah. Go for
it.
I was gonna say I like the pitch clock. However, I think it's horrible right now because there's going to be an adjustment period. And if you hear some of the minor leaguers talk about it, they're like, yeah, like it'll take a little bit. The fact that there was a bottom of the ninth spring training game, tie game, 3-2 bases loaded, and they called this like an infraction and struck him out, that was hilarious. Now, if I was at the game, that would have been like, bro, you have to be kidding me.
It would have pissed me off.
It would have pissed me off for 1 second, then I would have been like, I just saw history right here. I just watched the bottom ninth 3-2 tie game end on nothing, which would be pretty crazy. I like it. I think overall, I think we're going to look back on it. We're going to be like, hey, I like the flow of this game. Think about other sports for a second. Football. There's a play clock, 40-second play clock, and it's nice. You know why? Because if you're watching one football game, you can take a second. You can do something real quick in between. Baseball, there is a problem that sometimes you just will not see pitches. Dude, we watch Blake Snell all the time. Watching Blake Snell when he's struggling, when he cannot locate, is horrible because he starts getting really slow when he does that. You saw the video of the Altuve inside the park home runs, right?
Yes, with Pedro Baez.
There was 6 inside the park home runs in between a pitch. Like, So I think overall, when we look back on it in a few years, it's gonna be like, okay, this is probably a good rule. But I get why people are freaking out right now. It is way different. It is a huge
Yeah.
adjustment, and it looks awful right now. But
Let,
I do like it long term.
let me tell you, because I understand if people like it. I like aspects of it. I do like aspects of it. But as a baseball purist, and I kind of feel like an old head, um, but as a baseball purist, I hate that stupid pitch clock, bro. I hate it. I despise it. It feels way too much like a shot clock violation to me. It feels way too much like a what is it called in football?
Play
Dang it,
game.
dude. There we go. Like, dude, it feels way too much like that. Baseball was never that. I never, dude, there was not a clock in sight for me when I played baseball. So I think, dude, I do too, bro. That's the thing is I feel like an old head. I feel like coach. Oh my God, no. You just compared me to, you're just talking about yourself, but still, like, I don't want to be compared to coach, bro. Oh, that's an L. But I'm glad they're testing it out now because I think there's going to be things that need to be fixed. First thing that needs to be fixed, do not implement that in the seventh, eighth, or ninth inning. Please. Like, that can go away. You're still going to save 10 to 15 minutes, hopefully, just in those first 6 innings. Maybe just take it away for the eighth or ninth. In the playoffs, I firmly believe it should be taken away completely. I think those moments are too big to put a pitch clock out there. Like, dude, how would you feel? Bottom of the ninth, you got runners on second and third. You're facing Max Scherzer, or I don't know, some stud is on the mound, and you're up, and the game is all up to you, and you have 8 seconds to prepare for it. I can't do that. I personally cannot mentally prepare myself in 8 to 7 seconds to go in there against one of the best pitchers in baseball with our whole season on the line. I cannot do that. I need more time. So in the regular season, I could understand it, but in the playoffs, give me all the playoff baseball I can get, man. I mean, shoot, I don't care. Throw juice balls in there. Let's get an offensive explosion. I don't care, but dude, you go to the bathroom in the third, it's the freaking fifth when you get back. It's the sixth. I don't like it. I don't like it, man. I mean, I think I just don't like it right now because it's so fresh and because I'm seeing weird results like games ending like that. And I don't really think it'll happen like that in the regular season. It's just such a weird thing right now because I feel like 15 seconds is not enough. Maybe if it was 20, I would be happier. But I don't feel like 15 seconds is enough. I understand that it's going to help games go by faster. And for those of you that, you like going to sleep earlier, Matt, you live on the East Coast, you got to watch a West Coast team. I don't care about it. I mean, I just like watching baseball. So I think it's great. I mean, shoot, I'm not gonna lie though. I hate sitting through those 4-hour Marlin games or the 4-hour Padre Red games. I can't do that. So I'm glad the pitch clock is in for those. But just as a baseball purist, man, it's gonna be hard for me to adapt to that. Um, I'm excited to see if I do end up liking it come May, June, when maybe all these infractions kind of stop, maybe when the players get used to it. But for right now, I'm not a fan.
No, that's fair. And I do wonder what it looks like too. Like, I also think I think that the reason they're changing it isn't even to reduce the overall time of the games. I don't think I think that's gonna happen. It's gonna impact the games in that way. I think it's more about creating a structured flow to the game. Because
That makes
think
sense.
about it, like when you watch basketball and football, you know the flow. Like your brain, your body, you know the flow. And it feels very like it's very common, right? Like, okay, and you kind of have the clock going on in your head, right? You know the play is going to be about this long. You know when they have to do it. They got to do something. So I get it, but like, I do think there's legitimate pros and cons to it. Like, I like it, but I understand a lot of your takes. And I think that for playoff time, Isaac, I'm going to actually, I didn't even think about that before. I don't think it should exist in the playoffs.
Nope.
Why are we changing that? playoff baseball is amazing. Like
It's
playoff
beautiful.
baseball is one of the coolest postseason events. And especially for series, like a lot of series, like it's like, oh, whatever. Dude, playoff baseball, like you have a series and it can go up and down a lot throughout the series. So I don't know. I like it a lot in terms of not doing it for the playoffs. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
However, regular season, I think it's fantastic. I think it's
yeah.
huge. I think it's gonna be a big win for the MLB. I think at first I thought most people hated it because I saw the outrage, but most people like it.
I like it, yeah.
But
And don't get me wrong, I understand why people like it. It's not a game. There's probably a good actual 25 minutes of actual action in baseball. So I think the pitch clock creates more action in a condensed amount of time, which for the casual fan that's maybe just being introduced to baseball, I think they will appreciate that because there's not as much standing around. Whereas, in football, there's action almost the whole time. There's action almost the whole time in basketball as well. I think in football it might be a little less, but there's action, there's always action. In baseball, it's not that way. So I think casual fans will appreciate that. I think fans being introduced to baseball, they're gonna appreciate that a lot, and I completely understand that. People with kids that do go to sleep early, they're gonna appreciate that. My dad, who goes to work at 9:30 or 10, he's gonna appreciate that. Um, but I don't know, man. It's gonna take me some time, and like I said, I just feel like 15 seconds isn't enough. I think if it was 20, I'd be happy because 15 just doesn't feel right, man. I mean, you're telling me I got 5 to 8 seconds? Oh, he is, dude. You Darvish might be too. Um, but I don't know, man. I see Czar said that was the pace if you're talking about purist, bro. I'm not from the 60s, 70s, or the 80s. I'm talking about a purist in terms of what I've been watching my whole life, in terms of what's been the normal for as long as I can remember. Um, but the pitch clock, I don't think it's that bad of a thing, man. I just feel like maybe there's other ways to speed up the game. Maybe 15 isn't enough. Maybe 20 would be better. Maybe 20 would satisfy everyone. And please, please, I do not want to see that thing in the postseason because these postseason moments, they're made by the buildup of seeing, the pitcher like off the bump, mentally preparing himself for maybe the biggest pitch of his life. That moment gets taken away by that stupid clock, I think. Um, so I don't know, man. It's a very controversial thing that I think maybe won't be as controversial come June. Maybe I'll actually like it come June. But it's gonna take me time.
it is fun. I knew we were gonna talk about that tonight because when that happened in the spring training game where it's like, no way. The legit scenario, like that everyone like it's like the dream scenario. Bottom ninth, bases loaded, 2 outs, 3-2 count, and they called a strike on an infraction. That is hilarious. I think that is so funny. But yeah, no, I do wonder what's gonna happen to Snell with the pitch clock. Maybe he's just gonna be a beast. Watch Snell's just gonna be way different.
well, when he's doing good, I feel like he works pretty fast.
Yeah, when he's doing bad, he gets all like pouty and he like scratches his head and he like
Yeah.
takes his hat off and he like walks around. Yeah, like there's so much extra stuff going on. So I don't know, maybe it'll help.
I do like all the other rules, like the shift ban. I like it. Teams are gonna somehow manipulate it.
24 seconds, like NBA shot
24.
clock.
I feel like 24 is the normal. That depends on who you are, I guess. I feel like Blake and you Darvish might legitimately take 30 to 40 normal, but it's gonna be really interesting to see how all these pitchers adjust, even the hitters.
This is what I think.
Yeah, maybe that is true. When all the players adjust and all the pitchers adjust, maybe that is for sure true. But man, it's gonna take me time. I don't know.
Okay, let's see. We got a couple other things here. Do you see the play that Kim made? Which one? I don't know if I did.
I haven't seen anything on Kim. I think, the most recent thing I saw was Fernando abusing Michael Wacha
in the sim game.
Yeah, poor Michael Wacha, bro. Fernando was abusing him.
I saw the relay from Kim in the first spring
that.
training game too.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be able to get the tickets to a not Snell game. All three of them last year were Snell.
Go to
Dude,
a Darvish game, bro. Go to a Darvish game.
yeah.
Those are my favorite.
I'm trying to think of who I saw. I saw Snell and Darvish late last year. That was the Darvish game, or the Snell game wasn't great. The Darvish game was good when they played the Mets.
Yeah,
That was
Darvish
like,
game was fire.
yeah. Seth Lugo game. I wonder if Seth Lugo starts. I really do. Or like if he's a real starter.
Great question. I think to start the season, yeah, he will be.
But is he gonna go is he gonna ever go past 5?
I mean, maybe we see him go 3 or 4. We see Chris Matt go
Yeah.
2, something like that. Chris Matt, I think he started today, and he's starting in the WBC.
Yeah. Okay. This is a good one. Weather's Revenge Tour. Dude, Weathers was pumping.
Yeah, he's pumping. Yeah.
His whole issue, I mean not his whole issue. One of his big issues before was that he would throw like 91 sometimes. He would fluctuate like crazy through velocity. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's huge. If he can start pumping velo up, like what was he was touching 97, you said, right?
Yeah, 97, 98.
That could be massive. So
Yeah,
that'd be cool to see. After they just kept throwing him out in 2021 when it was like, dude, he's a kid.
Oh yeah,
we
knew like 4 starts before. I mean, 4 starts before it happened. We were like, dude, please don't throw him out there again.
It was rough. It was like mean. It's like cruel.
It was bullying.
Julio Teheran over Seth Lugo. Now that is a hot take, Ace.
Oh my god,
hot
dude.
Take.
I saw Julio Teheran's numbers.
You didn't think they're that bad, huh?
No. Well, there was one year where he had like a 10 ERA. Last year, apparently, he threw a game and he did okay. And the years before, he was actually pretty good. So I was like really confused. I was like, why did no one give him a chance? Like, he probably would have been shit, but why did no one give him a chance last year? Like, that's gonna be interesting to see. Does he make the roster?
I probably not, right? You gotta guess not.
I doubt it. I think this is more like you're gonna pitch some spring training games, and if another team likes what they see, you'll go to them.
I mean, who would he get a spot over?
That's a great question. Literally no one. There's no one. He's not better than anyone.
Like, with Walker there, it's like almost impossible. Yeah, and is he even gonna be able to beat out Cole Hamels? Like, probably not.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. What else we got here? Nabil? Yeah, honestly, I don't know. You talking about pork fried rice in the comments, Isaac?
Yeah, bro. I mean, Ace. You ain't never heard of Din Tai Fung, bro? You gotta go. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you.
You're spot on. You do gotta go. Like you're missing out a lot. I'm sure that a lot of people in San Diego know of Din Tai Fung.
They have to, yeah.
Okay. Final thing we'll talk about. The AL Central. We've been doing all of our predictions, so we'll wrap it up with a quick predictions on the AL Central. In this division, you have 2 teams that are not going to compete. You have 3 teams that could win this division, and there's a chance that only one of them makes the playoffs. Isaac, who do you think is going to win the AL Central out of the White Sox, Guardians, and the Twins?
I like how you left out the Tigers and the Royals. I'm going with the Guardians. Year in, year out, they're just a good team. Jose Ramirez, consistently top 3, top 5 MVP candidate. Amazingly consistent player. Just signed Josh Bell, and I know he didn't look very good with the Padres, but Josh Bell is still a very good hitter, and I think he's going to bounce back over there in Cleveland. So that's going to be a great addition to their lineup. And then, they still got some good players. Andres Jimenez, Steven Kwan, Miles Straw. I think they still have him. But they got good players kind of all around. So I'm excited to kind of watch. I'm not going to watch them that much, to be honest. But I'm excited to see the Padres play the Guardians because that's one of those teams that I'm always interested in seeing the Padres play. Josh Naylor was good for them last year. Kyle Quantrill was good for them. Um, so there's some former Padres on that team, and I do think that's going to be another 88 to 92 win team, and I think that's going to be enough to win that Central. Because I don't think the White Sox are very good, and Twins are tough.
So I think the Twins are good. Where like I think they could hang in there. I think the Guardians are probably the the projected favorite going into the year. But the Twins could be pretty good. Like the Twins added Pablo Lopez. They brought back Carlos Correa, of course, after that whole fiasco. And then they have like some guys that they added. It's like maybe Christian Vasquez. He's a good catcher. They added Joey Gallo. He's not as bad as he was on the Yankees. That could be a win for the contract. And they're like pretty solid. But the big thing with them is like if Carlos Correa and Byron Buxton are healthy and your top two players in your lineup, that's significantly better than anyone else besides Jose Ramirez on the Guardians. So I feel like they have more star talent, and like their rotation's pretty solid now. It's not that great. The rotation right now is supposed to be Pablo Lopez, Sonny Gray, Joe Ryan, Tyler, I forget how to say his name, Mahil, I forget, and then Kenta Maeda. Maeda as your 5 is honestly pretty solid. I've always liked Maeda. I know he's older. I know Sonny Gray's older, but like you added Lopez, like you have a legit starting rotation. But the thing is, like the Guardians are just so well coached, and they're just consistently the team. Yeah, so that's why I take the Guardians too. Also, the Guardians had a couple solid upgrades. I mean, they add Josh Bell. I know Josh Bell wasn't great in San Diego, but Josh Bell's a good guy for them to add because, dude, their offense sucked. You remember their playoffs? They were rolling out like Austin Hedges, and it was like, really Jose Ramirez and a bunch of bums. Jose Ramirez and Josh Naylor and a bunch of bums. That's what it felt like. So, I guess Quan as well. He's a good hitter. No power, but like
no power.
Good leadoff hitter. So, I don't know. I think I think this is accurate. Johnny says if Buxton can stay healthy, they can make some noise.
Yeah,
I think so too. Mm-hmm. And I think that might be fun, but I don't know if anyone will even make the playoffs outside of the Guardians.
The division winner.
Yeah.
The Centrals, both of the Centrals are going to be so much different now that they don't get to play each other 20 times a year.
Dude, it's going to hurt them a
lot. For sure. Yeah, it's going to hurt.
Especially because the AL is pretty good, pretty like solid and deep too, where like the Central's clearly the weakest division. So, and maybe that helps the Twins too. Like maybe it brings the Guardians' winning percentage down. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. Cleveland's pitching is legit. I agree. And also their bullpen is good too. Emmanuel Clase or Clase, I forget how you pronounce it.
I don't even know how to say it either.
Former Padre, but dude, he is absurd. He is so good. So yeah, and they have good starters as well. Bieber, who else they got? Tristan McKenzie, Cal Quantrill. I love Cal Quantrill. Yeah, pretty solid.
They're good, man. They're just a good team.
Interestingly enough, though, the Twins like projections from their starters is probably a little bit better than Cleveland's on Fangraphs. I'm gonna say that the Guardians is gonna be better. I don't know. That's my guess. Like just because of their coaching, because of their what they consistently pump out. Yeah. It does suck watching fewer NL East and AL East games, though. Yeah, this year especially.
Yeah, I agree. And I would love to see the Padres play the Dodgers 19 times, but yeah.
Well, you got it is.
Go try it, Ace. Go try it. It's gas, dude. It's so fire.
I think next time, Isaac, next time I come down to San Diego, we'll have to go.
We'll go to Din Tai Fung.
I haven't had it in years. So
really, dude, it's so fire.
Yeah,
I'm trying to try a new restaurant a week.
That's a good thing to do.
Yeah, so I'm trying to try a bunch of new things. Any recommendations? Tweet at us. Drop them in the comments. But yeah, I'm trying to try something new.
What are you going for? Like nice stuff or like whatever?
Dude, man, anything. I went to Mama Cat's in San Marcos. I don't know if Anyone in here knows that spot, but pretty popular spot over here in North County for brunch type of thing. If I go to pretty popular like brunch, bro. Applebee's.
There you go. The good stuff.
Good. But yeah, Mama Cat's super fire. I just went to this place in San Marcos called Amalfi Cucina Italiana. Had the lasagna there, super fire as well. Yeah, just trying to try some new places.
No, I think it's
I haven't
good.
been to cafe with you, so
You have?
I haven't.
I feel like I've heard of it before, but I don't know if I have. It sounds really familiar. I don't know why, but it does. But I would have to say probably not. Steve says Hooters. We got Hooters, Applebee's. Ace said he's unsubscribing if Din Tai Fung is mid. Twin Peaks. My roommate actually just went to the Twin. Wait. My roommate just went to the Twin Peaks cafe actually in Portland. I don't know if you know that show, Isaac, but
I don't.
it's like a famous spot to like go to if you know the show. It's like in a little town.
That's cool.
What about this one? El Patio in Chula Vista.
I remember that one, bro.
What about the one in Tijuana?
If I can find my passport, I'll go.
Korean barbecue. I feel like I haven't had a lot of Korean barbecue. But
Never had Korean barbecue. Yeah, my friends have been, or my coworkers, man, hype it up for sure.
Okay, I don't know this place, but have you ever got hot pot before?
No, I wanna go to this place in Carlsbad called Taboo Shabu, and I think it's hot pot.
Yeah, dude, it's weird. I went there like maybe like 2 months ago. It's good. It's super good. Yeah. But it's like when you go to a restaurant, it's like very like, you're like doing stuff at the table. I don't know. It reminds me of that. Like when they like, if you go like to an Asian restaurant, they like throw shrimp into your mouth and stuff like that. It kind of has that feel to it just because it's like you're putting the hot pot on it. I mean, it's not like that, but I don't know. It just reminds me of that, I guess.
Yeah, man. I mean, I want to try it. It looks delicious.
Oh, I liked your answer of our high school.
La Quinta High School.
La Quinta High School in La Quinta. Do you guys like cooking? Well, I'm actually working as a line cook right now, so I usually don't cook at home, like because of that, because I'm like, fuck this, I don't want to cook anymore. I've been cooking all day. But normally before that, I would cook more, but now it's like, nah, I can't.
It depends, bro. I mean, I don't know how to cook many things, so I guess I hate cooking. But you know what? No, sometimes I do like the satisfaction I feel if I cook something good.
So. Yeah, and it's fun to learn recipes. I'll say that.
It is. I do. I mean, I love helping my mom on Thanksgiving. I love helping my mom make whatever she needs to make. I think that's one of my favorite parts. I get to spend time with my mom and help her in the kitchen. But yeah, I enjoy cooking sometimes.
Yeah, I think home cooked meals are also, they're better than average restaurants. But also, if you go to a good restaurant, it's like, oh fuck, dude, like it's crazy. Like, dude, some of these places in New York, like every once in a while, like me and my girlfriend will go out and we'll get like a nice meal, where like we're spending more money than we should be spending, and it is an experience and a half, dude. It's worth it. But I don't know.
I can't
better than Applebee's.
No, man. I mean, I the reaction you get from trying something new, like, and it's actually that good, is like, I don't know. I can't help myself saying, God damn, oh my God, this is so good. You know, because I'm a big foodie person. But when I cook, it's canned tuna and rice.
Dude, you gotta try something new, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. You maybe try beef with the rice.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, YouTube is good for teaching you, though.
Ah, man, yeah.
But it's also hard to like make it work.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah.
Johnny, that's because you're trying to cook those Applebee's recipes.
Yeah,
That's why
I
you're
don't
trying to
know,
burn your
man.
kitchen down, dude.
I don't know if I would trust you in my kitchen if you're recommending Applebee's. I don't, I don't hate Applebee's, bro, but not my thing.
Okay, cooking with people goes hard. Okay, last thing, then we're taking off. Do you ever do dinner parties?
People would leave after 30 minutes after eating my shitty food if I had a dinner party.
So so during COVID, like me and like my friend group in college, we would do dinner parties all the time. So we do like a lot of like me and my girlfriend will have stuff, especially out here now too. But we'll do like eggplant parm nights with like wine and shit. Oh my god, dude, so much fun!
So fire,
Like
so
a
fire.
a true dinner party. I don't know. That's like that's I'd rather do that than like a house party. I think it's awesome. But yeah. Wait, is this taco place right here? Is this the one you were telling me about?
Gas, bro. It's
Is this one by the stadium?
it's by the stadium now.
Yeah, that's another one that next time I'm in San Diego, I'm going there,
You
100%.
gotta do it, dude. You gotta do it, bro. I mean, it's just it honestly life changing for me. It's funny because like I'll take a taco over almost anything.
Dude, tacos are good.
A
That's
good
the one thing. That's what I miss out here is there's not really burritos.
a good
Like there's not good
Alabama.
ones.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, New York, I can imagine. A good Alabama taco is the way to my heart.
That's like always been my go-to. Like, oh fuck it, like, let me just grab a burrito. Like 5 minutes, I'll be real quick, and it's like so easy.
Yeah.
$8.
Then
Yeah,
you're
that's
good to
not
go.
how it is out here.
You get billed for the rest of the night.
Yeah, Lolita's best Mexican food, Trevor Rosenthal. That was so funny when he was doing that. When he was like,
He loved Lolitas.
I honestly, I definitely shouldn't have been the case, but I thought that he was like getting so hyped about the Mexican food that I thought he was gonna take a discount to stay in San Diego for the
Thought so
Mexican food.
too.
Like
I
he
thought
was
so
so
too.
into it.
Mhm. I really did think so too.
Dominican food is also good, dude. There's actually a Dominican deli by me that I need to try. I've heard like really good things about. So I'll get
Yeah,
back to you on the Dominican food.
never had
It's-
Dominican food. Best burrito spot in North County? Okay, this is the last one for me. My favorite burrito spot growing up when I lived in North County was Jose's Taco Shop. And I don't know how many people know about it, but it's in Oceanside or maybe borderline Oceanside Vista. That was my favorite. I think it's kind of bad now. It's like decent, but my favorite was Jose's and Eddie Berto's.
Yeah. All right, guys. So should we call it?
I'm ready.
All right. We'll be back on Wednesday. I think we'll be talking about World Baseball Classic. 5:30 Wednesday. That's when our next stream will be. We'll hopefully see you guys all then. Have a great night. And pumped that Manny Machado is locked up for life basically on the Padres. So we'll talk to y'all soon. And yeah, see you guys on Wednesday.